Hello, my name is Lachey Long, Director of Admissions and Communications at the Metropolitan School of Professional Studies. I'd like to welcome you to a professional development series presented by MSPS. The professional development series will cover a variety of topics ranging from the preparation needed to become an adult student, maximizing the experience of being an adult student, and understanding how to apply your knowledge in a professional setting. Your studies at MSPS will contribute to your company and also help you achieve your personal goals. I'd like to introduce Professor Denny Austin.
Well, thank you, Lachey. My name is Denny Austin. I'm an adjunct lecturer here at MSPS. Some of my students like to call me Professor Denny. Well, about 20 years ago, I was in a similar position to many of you, thinking about going back to school to finish my higher education. I can tell you that as a mature adult with a wonderful family and plenty of professional obligations, not to mention a budget that was not easily stretched, this was not an easy decision, one to be made lightly. But in the end, I made the decision to commit myself to achieving my master's degree, and I have to say it was one of the best decisions of my life. So in this talk, I'd like to share with you some of the things that helped me make the commitment to success, in my case, at graduate school. The first question I had to deal with was why ever was I proposing to do this? It's expensive, time-consuming. I'd been away from school for more than 20 years. I already had a fairly good job, and not to mention some family responsibilities. But perhaps the biggest concern was maybe the unspoken one. Suppose I did not succeed. What message would that send to my children? What would that say about me? Fortunately, I have a dear friend, a very successful, self-made businessman, somewhat older than me, kind of a cross between a supportive older brother and a very cool uncle. We nicknamed him Bubba, which probably says a lot about him and our relationship. So I called Bubba to talk to him about my idea of going back to school. I suppose I was expecting to hear a lot of encouraging words about the importance of education, building for the future, about time I did something worthwhile, that kind of thing. Well, that's not exactly how it went. No, Bubba immediately started taking apart every rationale I had put forth for going back to school. I actually felt a little trapped. I really wanted to go for the master's degree, yet here's Bubba trying to convince me that all my reasons were just not good enough. Old Bubba really had me cornered. In frustration, I finally had to say, I just have to prove to myself that I can do this. Bubba laughed. That's exactly what he wanted to hear me say. And from that point on, I guess I was totally committed to achieving my goal of a master's degree. So, my personal story aside, what's the point here? Well, simply this. There are a great many reasons for going back to school as an adult learner, whether it's for a graduate degree or an undergraduate degree. Just make sure that you find the one that will inspire you and motivate you all the way to the end. Well, so what are some of the other things to consider in your academic plans? Well, one of the questions I like to ask my students is this. What do you hope to accomplish here? This is not the same as wanting the degree or getting straight A's. Those are perfectly fine goals, but they come at the end. What are you looking for here as the specific accomplishments along the way, milestones, if you will, that let you know that you're making progress? At MSPS, we talk about applying what you learn in class today to what you're going to do at work tomorrow. And I can tell you that's exactly what I was looking for when I was in graduate school. Another way to look at this is to see if there are any electives in the curriculum that you're considering. Are there some particular areas you want to explore, either because they are relevant to your career path or simply because you have a personal interest in the topic? Just like those week-to-week accomplishments, course-level milestones help keep you focused and motivated for the long term. Well, that leads me to my next point. How will you know that you have succeeded? Well, the easy answer is to look at your grade point average, isn't it? It's easy, certainly, and accurate, but how relevant is that in the long run? I can tell you that I'm very proud of the grade point average I earned in graduate school. You know what? Hardly anyone ever asks. You went back to school, eh? Hey, that's nice to hear. Got a master's degree. Cool, congratulations. So, you're a smart guy who stuck it out. Goody for you. Now what can you actually do for me and my company? Well, as adult learners, for many of us, whether we're graduate or undergraduate, we will know that we have succeeded when we can answer questions like that with a certain amount of confidence and poise. That's what the interview is all about, isn't it? Let me take a short side trip to help make the point. It can be easy to get discouraged in school from time to time. It certainly happened to me. I felt that way more than once. Don't understand some concept, get a poor grade, being on a dysfunctional team or making a weak presentation. These can really get you down, especially when you've set some pretty high expectations for yourself. The thing I had to understand, and the thing I encourage all my students to understand, is not all learning is recorded in the instructor's grade book. Sort of like Thomas Edison learning the 999 ways not to make a light bulb. We have to grab everything that happens in school, the good and the not so good, and take it as an opportunity to really learn. The school is in fact a safe place for these sort of things. I sometimes tell my students, nobody gets voted off the island. Nobody gets thrown out of the group house. But most importantly, consider that from this kind of life learning comes that confident poise needed to succeed in the long term. This last point raises the question, what support will you actually need? Clearly the school is dedicated to your success. The last thing we need is upset students saying bad things about us, right? But what about the support you'll need from your family, from your friends, in the workplace? Likely your family will be proud and excited that you're back in school. My family certainly was. But what about those classes in the evening? Who's going to fix dinner? Who's going to put the kids to bed? What about those weekend chores when you have to meet with your project team in class? Ooh. Oh, no, by the way, that big family vacation you've been thinking about? Might have to talk a little more about that one. For sure, there are many important conversations to have around the dinner table. And it's not just about the shared sacrifices. Make sure your family sees that they are part of your success. My mom, my wife, our kids, they all thought it was pretty cool when old Dad was up there getting a diploma in his cap and gown. By the way, and if you haven't already figured this out, it's likely your social life will suffer a bit too. True. Certainly your friends will be supportive, and if you're fortunate like me, maybe you'll have a Bubba who inspires you. We'll see, right? But what about going out for drinks on Friday night? Or checking out that latest movie, or the club, or restaurant, whatever. Don't write off your social contacts. They are important to your sense of well-being and to maintaining your motivation. Just prepare them and yourself that things will be changing for a while. And from personal experience, I suspect that you will find that once you get into the rhythm of being back in school, the day-to-day and week-to-week patterns that you will follow, it may actually be okay to pick up the social life again. Just be sure to keep your eye on the prize, eh? Well, finally, let's talk about your work life. Assuming the degree you're pursuing, undergraduate or graduate, is at least somewhat aligned with the interests of your employer, they will certainly be supportive. Hey, maybe they'll even pick up part of the tab, right? Always a good thing. But again, there are some realities you want to discuss with your management. What happens when that important business trip is the same week as the team project presentation or the final exam? Oh my goodness. What happens when class starts at 10 minutes after 6 and that last-minute client meeting is still going on until 7 o'clock? And oh, by the way, you're the one expected to take those clients out to dinner. Yeah, these things happen. Truly, they do. Nobody wants to see you put job, friends, or family at risk because of your commitment to school. So when that stuff happens, be sure to talk to the people involved. And definitely include your professors in those conversations. Heck, most of us have walked in your shoes one way or another. I have yet to see a situation that could not be sorted out. Maybe not exactly the way you wanted it to be, but maybe not a disaster either. Not as bad as it could be. Well, that's about it for this talk. Hopefully you will make a wise decision. And if it comes to the pass that you make all the necessary arrangements, get the funding in place, set your expectations, do with your commitments, maybe I'll see you in one of my classes. At this point, I'd like to turn things back over to Lachey for a little bit more about next steps.
Thank you, Denny. That was great. If you're interested in learning more about the Metropolitan School of Professional Studies, please give us a call at 202-319-5256 or feel free to email us at metropolitan@cua.edu. We look forward to meeting with you and best of luck.